Thus saith the Lord God, even at the same time shall many things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think evil thoughts, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land that hath no walled towers. I will go to them that are at rest, and dwell in safety, which dwell all without walls, and have neither bars nor gates, thinking to spoil the prey, and to take a booty, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, and dwell in the midst of the land. Ezekiel 38, verses 10 through 12, reading from the 1599 version of the Geneva Bible. Give thanks, welcome back to our mystery, unveiling the mystery of our ancestry. This is Caribbean Chronicles, where today we will be discussing live and direct from the Isle of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, the establishment of Saint Dominique, Haiti, as well as Manhattan, New York. Where we left off last, we went through the different peoples who inhabited this isle and how they ended up going from being completely humble and beautiful and generous people to being completely devastated through the Spanish Empire and their colonialization. And here we continue with the story, starting with 1510, the year 1510, when the first foreign slaves arrived, consisting of 250 black Ladinos, otherwise known as Moors, from Spain. 8 years later, in 1518, African-born slaves arrived to the West Indies, and they worked the first sugar mill. That was in 1516, resulting from sugarcane that was introduced to Hispaniola from the Canary Islands. On December 26, 1522, there was the first major slave revolt in the Americas, when enslaved Muslims of Wolof, the Wolof Senegal nation, rose up on a sugar plantation owned by Don Diego Colon, the son of Christopher Colon, otherwise known as Christopher Columbus. Many of the captives, Wolof captives, escaped to the south of the island of Hispaniola, forming one of the earliest Maroon colonies. However, many were captured and hanged. In 1534, Enrico, a Taino native, also led attacks against the Spanish enslavers from their area of concentration, which was in the Bajaraco Mountains in the southwest of this island. These Maroons, native fighters, were eventually awarded their own city. In 1520, the Spanish began to focus more on Mexico and South America for their gold and silver, and the population of Hispaniola waned. And during this time of Spanish decline in 1586, the English privateer Francis Drake captured Santo Domingo from Spain, holding it for ransom. Later in 1655, the English, under an expedition of Oliver Cromwell, also attacked Santo Domingo. But those troops, the English troops, were defeated, and they ended up taking the less guarded Spanish colony of Jamaica instead. Going back to 1595, the Dutch sourced new salt supplies from Spanish America, where colonists were happy to trade after the Spanish had cut off critical salt supplies necessary for the herring industry. The closure of the ports from the Netherlands shipping came after a 20-year rebellion by Dutch subjects of Spain. Large numbers of Dutch traders, pirates, joined the English and French, their French counterparts, trading in Hispaniola. And in 1605, the Spanish forcibly resettled their colonists closer to Santo Domingo in what was called the Devastación de Osorio. This was done as a result of what the Spanish called the illegal trade with the Dutch, who were fighting a war of independence against Spain in Europe and the English. As a result of the forced relocation, more than half of the resettled colonists died of starvation or disease, and over 100,000 cattle was abandoned and numerous people escaped captivity. 5 of the existing 13 settlements across the island were razed by the Spanish troops, and many inhabitants escaped to the jungle or fled to safety on passing Dutch ships. And potentially, one of these Dutch ships may have had Juan Rodriguez. Ron Rodriguez was born in Santo Domingo to a West African woman and a Portuguese sailor, and he became the first settler on the island of Manhattan, what we today call Manhattan, which is now New York City. This was in 1613. After New York City would be colonized by the Dutch and called New Amsterdam, after the Dutch city in the Netherlands. Rodriguez learned the Algonquin language of the local Lenape of what is now New York City, New York, who were described as black, and married into the local community. Rodriguez set up his own trading post in Manhattan, now Manhattan, with his Lenape family. And in 1621, the Dutch Republic established a claim to New Netherlands, lands across the east coast of the United States, and offered a patent for a trade monopoly in the region. So there's quite an interesting connection there between Santo Domingo, West Africa, and Iberians, as well as New York City, our current New York City. But back to Santo Domingo, as a result of the Spanish assault and relocation, the English, Dutch, and French pirates were free to establish bases on the island's abandoned northern and western coasts, where cattle were plenty and ran free. By 1697, after decades of fighting, the Spanish ceded the western part of the island to the French, who renamed it Saint Dominique, which became a very lucrative colony for France based on the sugar industry, which depended upon the importation of vast amounts of slaves from West Africa. And at that time, Saint Dominique was called the most fertile parts of the West Indies. Meanwhile, the Spanish part of the island deteriorated considerably as the Spanish Empire sank into a deep economic crisis, and Santo Domingo was struck by earthquakes, hurricanes, epidemics that ended up shrinking the population size considerably. So here we learn about the origins and beginnings of Saint Dominique, Haiti, as well as the island of Manhattan from the original source, Santo Domingo, which is currently the Dominican Republic. Give thanks to our ancestors and all of those who contributed to our vast and rich West Indian heritage. Peace.
Are you tired of working that 9 to 5? Gotta scrimp and save just to survive? Come get the tools you deserve to thrive when you decide to take the dive into the pursuit of your own bliss. Come learn how to start a business. For the book or the course, you just need to go to the website linked below. All brought to you care of Online Pro.
CUSH Cash Consulting is sure to result in your dreams coming alive as wealth multiplies for our scholars and investors. Come deal with the best of our budding entrepreneurs. Contact us to learn more at CUSH Cash Consulting. Email morrison at cushcashconsulting.com and sign up for classes using the linked form. Give thanks.